One second, please. Okay, fantastic. So can we all see my screen?
Yes, I can see your screen.
Great, great, fantastic. Welcome once again, everyone. My name is Michael, and today we will be diving, we'll be looking into designing for voice first interfaces. I'd like to drop a bit of a caveat before I start. So, um, this virtual talk is not only meant for designers. If you are a product manager, if you are a developer, if you're in tech generally, you can really benefit from this. Even if you're a non-tech person, you can also benefit from this. So I just want you to know before we start. Okay, so going straight into it, a little bit about me. I'm a product designer, senior product designer. I have about 7 years of working experience as a designer. I have about 2 years working experience as an instructional designer. I used to be a software engineer for about over a decade, and I'm also a mentor. I'm a facilitator. I'm a content writer. Um, Also, I'm a foodie and an adventurer. I like food, especially meat. I love meat, so I'm a carnivore, if you want to put it that way. My best restaurant in Kenya, by the way, is Fogo. Best restaurant. I'm a marathoner and I'm also a biker. So just in case if any one of you can relate with any of these, please, you can reach out to me personally if you would like us to run a marathon together, or if you have a restaurant you would like us to go. Right. So that's a bit about me. And going straight into today's talk, what are we going to be looking at? So basically, this is the agenda for today, right? An overview. It shouldn't take us a bit too long, but at the end of the talk, we're going to have question and answer. So please, by all means, if you have any question while I'm talking, please take your pen, write your question down so you don't get to forget, right? And then at the end of the talk, you can ask your question and then we can answer everything together. Now, welcome again, everyone. So today's session, like I mentioned earlier, is about designing for voice first interfaces. Now, in an era where technology is becoming increasingly integrated into our lives, voice first interfaces have emerged as a transformative way to interact with devices and services. From smart speakers to virtual assistants, voice first design offers a seamless and natural means of engagement. So, in this presentation today, we'll be exploring the fundamentals of designing for voice first interfaces. We will delve into its significances and how it's shaping the future of user interaction. Um, Voice first interfaces are like interfaces that prioritize voice commands as the primary means of interaction between the user and the technology. So, in other words, the user interacts with the technology through speech rather than graphical user interfaces, as we all know, such as touchscreen or mouse. So example of voice first interfaces includes Amazon Alexa, then you have Google Home, you have Apple Siri, you have Microsoft Cortana. So these are just few examples of VFI. Oh, sorry. By the way, when I say VFI, I mean voice first interfaces. Now, what are the advantages of designing for voice first interfaces compared to other types of interfaces? Voice first interfaces (VFI) offer several advantages. They allow for hand-free operation, which can be useful in situations where users cannot physically interact with a device, such as when driving a car or when you're cooking in the kitchen. They also provide a bit more natural and conversational interaction, which can be helpful for users who may find traditional GUIs challenging to use, such as the elderly or people with disabilities. Then also accessibility. By accessibilities, what do we mean? It means it provides an inclusive experience for people with disabilities. It supports visually impaired users and those with limited dexterity. And all this is done by removing barriers from allowing interaction through voice commands. Then also we have speed and efficiency. Is faster than typing or navigating through menus that we are used to. Users can also retrieve information and perform tasks more quickly because all you just need to do is just speak. Then there is streamlined interactions, which overall improve user satisfaction. However, there are also a couple of disadvantages to VFI. So designing effective VFI can be challenging, unlike the normal typical GUIs that we all used to. Voice interfaces do not have a visual interface to guide the users. So this can make it very difficult to provide contextually relevant responses to the user. Then also, voice interfaces also require a different approach to information architecture and user flow, as user may not be able to see all the available options at once. But overall, designing for voice first interfaces requires a deep understanding of user needs and behavior, as well as a thorough knowledge of the technology and its capabilities. Now, let's set the context. I mentioned GUI earlier, which is like an example of different type of interfaces that we have. I know we are all aware of one or two, but I just want to briefly take us through different type of interfaces that we are so we can better understand where we're coming from. Now, first one, we have a GUI, which is graphical user interfaces. This is the most common type of interface that we all used to. It relies basically on visual elements such as icons, buttons, menus, and forms, to enable interaction between the user and the technology. Example of this is the desktop application that we all use, mobile apps that we all use, and websites, right? Then also we have command line interfaces. Now, this is the type of interface where users uh, uses the text-based command to interact with the technology. CLI is often used in programming and system administration, where users just need to perform specific tasks quickly and efficiently. Then also we have GBI, which is gesture-based interface. Now, this type of interface relies on physical movements and gestures to control the technology. For example, we have motion cameras, we have motion sensors, we have virtual reality interface. All of these basically are at one or time or the other, I'm sure we've interacted with one or two of these examples where you have to move or uh, take certain action to activate the interface. Then we have the tangible user interface, and this is the type of interface that uses physical objects to interact with the technology. For example, the game controllers that we have in PlayStation, Window, Wii, and all these other game console. Then we have the musical instrument as well, and also some smart home devices. Then we have the last one, which is brain computer interface. And this is the type of interface that uses signal from the brain to interact with the technology. Now, this particular type of interface is still in its early stages of development. It's not widely out there, and it's primarily used in research and assistive technology, basically. Now, these are the different types of interfaces that I've just mentioned. Now, what are voice first interfaces? We have, for example, we have a smart speakers. Now, devices like Amazon Echo, Google Home, Apple HomePod, they respond to voice commands. and they provide information, they perform tasks for us, basically controlling smart devices, right? Then we have voice assistants. So these are like digital assistants like Siri that we have on Apple phone. We have Google Assistant that you have on Google Web, and also on some Android phones. You have Cortana that assists users with tasks, to search, reminders, and all of that. Then we also have in-car voice control, right? These are like, you can find in modern vehicles, modern cars. Basically, they offer voice command for navigation, entertainment, and basically hands-free communication. So if you're one of those rich people that's driving the latest, I don't know, Mercedes, you'll notice that they have in-voice control in these cars. Then also we have voice activated appliances. For example, we have home appliances such as smart microwaves, refrigerators. Um, I mean, I don't know if anybody has actually come across this new Samsung refrigerator that basically can tell you the different type of stuff you have in your fridge, and basically they can let you know if you're running low on a particular item in your fridge, and you can basically communicate with this appliance, using your voice. Then, what are the so also we have different what is the difference between these and the traditional graphics interface? Now we have the input mode, we have the natural interaction, and we have the screen dependency. Now input mode basically is basically, what does it mean? Voice first interfaces rely on spoken language, while traditional graphical interfaces they use text or touch based input. Basically, that's it. That's the difference between the traditional graphics interfaces and VFI. Then also natural interaction. Voice first interfaces aim to replicate human conversation, making interaction feel more conversational and intuitive. For example, when you pick up your Apple phone, you say, "Hey Siri, what is the weather in Nairobi this afternoon?" And then Siri will answer you. So that is more human-like conversation compared to the normal traditional graphical interface. Then we have screen dependency. Graphical interfaces require visual attention, while first voice interfaces enable interaction without visual cues. So you don't need to have visual cues basically for VFI. Now, VFI offers a new paradigm of interaction. It emphasizes the power of natural language and audio responses. Understanding these differences is crucial for designing effective and engaging user experience. Now, what are some of the design principles for voice first interfaces? Now, we have conversational design. Conversational design basically focuses on creating natural and engaging interaction between users and VFIs. Design interactions as if users are having a conversations with a human, basically. Uh, that's what we mean by conversational design. And we can see this when we talk to Siri, or when we talk to Google Assistants, or when we talk to Amazon Echo. Then we have context awareness. Now, for context awareness, this involves understanding the user situation and tailoring responses accordingly. And we utilize, basically, for context of awareness, we utilize users' data, their location, their preferences, and previous interactions to provide relevant and personalized information, basically. Then we have minimizing user effort. What does this mean? It means when designing VFI, you strive to reduce user effort by making interactions as frictionless as possible. And how do we do this? We use clear and concise prompts, avoiding unnecessary steps or information so as not to confuse the user. Then we have personalization, right, which is another principle. Uh, Basically, personalization enhances the user engagement by delivering content and interactions that is tailored to the individual preferences. And how do we do this? We gather user data over time to offer these personalized recommendations and experiences, basically. Then we have prompt clarity, which is another principle. What does this mean? It means clear and concise prompts that helps users understand how to interact with the interface. And how do we do this? By using simple language to avoid ambiguity and prevent user confusion. This is really essential. Then we have feedback and confirmation. Now, for this, it basically means providing immediate feedback and confirmation to assure users that their actions were understood correctly. For example, we will have seen some of these things when you interact with Siri, and sometimes Siri will say, "I do not understand you. Could you repeat yourself?" This is what we mean by feedback and confirmation. Now, we use auditory cues, visual indicators, or sometimes verbal responses to acknowledge user input. Then we have accessibility. Uh, Sorry, apologies. That's supposed to be user accessibility. We have um, we have accessibility, and basically that means designing interfaces that are inclusive and accessible to a wide range of users, including those with disabilities. And the way to do this basically is to incorporate voice commands as an alternative input method for users with mobility challenges, basically. And then also we have continuous learning. Under continuous learning, we're talking about the VFI should be able to continuously learn from the user's interaction to improve future interactions. And that way, to do that, we can implement or use machine learning algorithms to enhance the understanding and the context over time. Then what are the challenges and what are the considerations that we need to look at when we're talking about VFI designing for voice first interfaces? Number one, we have context ambiguity, right? And this is when user may not always provide clear context when interacting with the interface. What is the solution for this? Um, we can implement a context sensitive prompts and confirmations. For example, when you interact with the interface, you can have a response or feedback that says, "Did you mean to order a large pizza or small pizza?" So that way, you can clarify and confirm the ambiguity from the command. Then also we have privacy concern, right? With because voice data is sensitive and requires secure handling, right? Privacy is a thing to take note of. What is the solution to this? Uh, we can clearly communicate data usage and provide privacy controls to the user. For example, we can we can release a voice command that tells the user that your user data is only used or being used for improving our services. So that way the user knows that, okay, their voice data is not being used by a third party, but only for the product that they're using. Beg your pardon. Then number three, we have user frustration, right? And this happens when there's some misinterpretations and errors, which can lead to user frustration, right? How can we overcome this? We can design error recovery mechanisms and provide helpful error messages that can help the user. For example, when you're communicating, you can provide feedback like, "I'm sorry, I didn't understand. Can you please repeat?" So that way, um, we can avoid the user error interacting with the device. Then we have another one, which is basically cognitive load. And basically, what does this mean? It means users may struggle to remember available voice commands. So, solution basically to that is to offer a clear list of voice commands or allow users to ask for help. So, for example, you can say, "What's the weather?" or you can say, "Tell me a joke," basically. That way, you we avoid any cognitive overload. Then we have multilingual challenges, right? What does it mean? What does this mean? It means supporting multiple languages and dialects that can be complex. So, for example, someone that is, an English speaker, we all know that English speaking, we can have different people that speak English but with different accents. So the same way someone in the United States they will speak English will be different from the way someone in Dublin, an Irish person, will speak English, and will be totally different from the way someone from Scotland in England will speak English. So now this can lead to some challenges. Now, what is the solution that we can provide to sort of avoid this? We can invest in robust language understanding models that will allow users to set preferences and then train the models to handle a diverse range of voices and accents. So, for example, before you start using, the device can ask you which language would you like to use. So that way, the the device settings can be changed to the user's preference. Now, we also have interference and noises. Now, what does that mean? It means background noises can disrupt your voice interaction. So if you're in a noisy place or you're in a place whereby the background noise is overpowering your own voice, it can become a challenge. And what is the solution to this that we can provide to this? We can use noise cancellations algorithm and offer voice training for noisy environments. So that way, when you're interacting with the device can basically fine tune just your voice out from the other background noises. Example, you can give a feedback to the user saying, "Oh, it seems a bit noisy there. Let's try again." So that way, the user will repeat themselves, and then the device can easily pick up the user's voice. Now, conversational design. What is the importance of natural human-like interaction? Conversational design basically focuses on creating interactions that feels natural and intuitive to users. It means mimicking human conversation that helps users to feel more comfortable and engage with the interface. And also, it means natural interactions that will reduce the cognitive load and make the experience more user friendly. Now, what are the different tips for crafting conversational design? Number one, understanding the user intent. We can anticipate what the user might ask or say and design responses accordingly. We can use simple language, and basically that means opting for clear and concise language that matches the user's level of understanding. We can also empathize and relate with the user, so it means crafting responses that show empathy and connect with the users on a personal level. We can also provide feedback. Basically, that means we offer immediate feedback to acknowledge user input and maintain a fluid conversation. Another point is personality, right? We can develop a consistent brand voice or persona that aligns with the user's expectation. Avoid repetition. We can minimize repetitive phrases and responses to keep the interactions engaging. Guide the conversation. We can lead the users through a structured dialogue to achieve their goals efficiently. We can offer options. Basically, we can present users with multiple choices to guide them towards the desired outcome, even though it's still going to be rendered audio wise. We can still offer options to the users. We can account for errors. Basically, that means we plan for misunderstandings or errors and provide helpful suggestions to correct them. We can also inject humor, where appropriate. Injecting humor or clever responses can enhance user enjoyment. Basically, there's a video I would have loved to share where a guy was interacting with Siri, and it was a bit rude to Siri. And Siri decided to go into his account and donated all his money, all the money in his account to charity. It was really funny, but I wish I have the video here. I would have shared it. But anyway, it's just a way of injecting humor to VFI. But you need to remember that the key to conversational design is to create interactions that flow naturally, to provide value and make users feel like they are interacting with an helpful and understanding entity, even though they know they're interacting with the technology. Now, awareness. By designing with context in mind, we create more seamless and valuable VFI experiences for users. Context awareness is very crucial when we're creating meaningful interaction for voice first interfaces. And by understanding the user's situation, their preferences, their location, their environment, we can provide more relevant and helpful responses. For example, relevant interaction. Imagine a weather app that provides local forecast based on the user's current location, or a language learning app that adapts its lesson to the user's proficiency level. That's what we mean by relevant interaction. So what you're providing is relevant to the user. Then also personalization. Context-aware design enables personalization, enhancing the user's engagement and satisfaction. Simply put, for example, uh, you can have a fitness app that could suggest workout routines based on the user's fitness goal and available equipment. So, if you want to lose weight, or say you want to say build your body, right? You want to build muscle, you can specify that. You can specify the equipment that you have at your disposal, and then the device, right, or the app will basically customize your workout based on what you provided. That's what we meant by personalization. Then we have conversational continuity, right? And basically, what we're saying is context aware interfaces maintain the context of ongoing conversation, which allow the users to refer back to previous interactions seamlessly. We can see something like this with ChatGTP, or say the Google Gemini at the moment. What that means is that, you know, you can easily go back, refer to what you have said or your previous interactions with the interface, with the device, and you can continue your conversation. It makes things easier for the user. Now, multimodal interfaces. When we talk about multimodal interfaces, we're talking about combining multiple modes of interaction, such as voice, touch, and visual, to create a seamless user experience. This, in turn, will enhance the user experience, basically, and multimodal interactions offer a more holistic and intuitive way for users to basically engage with the technology. Now, what are the different scenarios where multimodal interaction can come to play? For example, when we're looking at navigation and direction, you can have the user speaks a destination while also viewing a map on a screen, right? For those of us who drives, you can basically give direction to the Google map, and then you can then see visually the map on the screen. Basically, this provides a more comprehensive and a real-time navigation experience to the user. Then we also have smart home control, which is another scenario where multimodal interaction can come to play. You can basically give voice commands to adjust lights, temperature, what the feedback is displayed on the screen. Apart from the fact that its display will be the feedback will be displayed on the screen, you can also see the outcome in the command you're given. So the light, maybe you ask the light to be dimmed, it will be dimmed, and then you ask the temperature to go up, the temperature will go up. And basically, this is basically simplifying the control and monitor of smart devices. Then we have e-commerce, where you can use voice search for products. coupled with the visual display of the different options, right? And basically, this will streamline the product discovery and this and selection for the users who is using the product. Then we also have educational apps. It's another scenario where we can have multimodal interaction, right? We can give voice explanations that complemented uh, the relevant visuals that the user is looking at, and basically this will enhance the learning comprehension and the engagement of the user. Then another example is healthcare applications where you can have voice input for symptoms while viewing suggested remedies on the screen. And this will facilitate more accurate symptoms reading basically for the user. And lastly, we have gaming. And in gaming, we can give voice commands with on-screen action. And this will create a more immersive and interactive gameplay experiences. Now, having a multimodal interfaces come with some benefits. We're talking about accessibility, where you cater to diverse user experiences and abilities. We're talking about redundancy, backup mechanisms in case of errors or inaccuracies, and we have enhanced understanding is another benefit. Basically, when you have the visual and auditory cues, it reinforces each other, and you have better understanding. Then another benefit is personalization. You will have the user, you know, which can choose their preferred interaction modes. So these are some of the benefits of having a multimodal interaction. Now, what are some best practices for effective voice first design? When creating a voice first design, there are consideration for and practical guidelines to follow for effective voice first design. Um, Number one, we have conversational flow, which is basically to craft natural and user-friendly conversation that mimics human interaction. Clear prompts, providing concise and clear prompts that can guide the users through the interaction. We have context awareness. Basically, when you're designing, you design for context, ensuring seamless transitions and consistent experience for the user. We have feedback, right? Uh, Basically, when designing for VFI, you offer feedback, timely and informative feedback to confirm users' input and actions. We talked about this briefly earlier. We have personalizations, which we've also mentioned. You can tailor the interactions based on users' preference and behavior for a personalized touch. And you can understand your target users, their needs and preferences, and then tailor the interaction to align with their goals and behaviors. Then we have error handling. Basically, you can anticipate errors and provide friendly error messages with potential solutions, emphasis on potential solutions, and providing options for alternative interaction methods if needed. Then we have multimodal compatibility. Basically, this is considering how voice interactions complement other interfaces for a cohesive user journey. Then we have simplicity, and basically that's basically keeping interaction simple, avoiding complex or lengthy changes, keeping responses concise while delivering the necessary um, information, and that way we can avoid verbosity to maintain user engagement. Now, let's consider a case study, typical case study that we're all aware of, Amazon Alexa. Now, Alexa is a prime illustration of an highly successful voice first interface design. It was developed by Amazon and it stands as a trailblazing voice first interface design. If I'm correct, it was launched in November 2014. And basically, Alexa has revolutionized the way users interact with technology through natural language processing and advanced AI. All right. Now, what are the key features of Alexa? Number one, we have natural language understanding. Alexa can comprehend and respond to spoken language, creating intuitive conversation. We have context retention. Alexas can remember your previous interaction, enable seamless and contextual conversation. We have skill ecosystem, and basically the extensive skill library expands functionality, offering diverse capabilities like weather updates, news, and smart home control. Basically, now, what are the outcome and impact of Alexa? We have seamless smart home control, right? Basically, can integrate with smart devices that can enable convenient voice control over our home. We have enhanced accessibility. Alexa basically empowers individuals with disability by providing a hands-free, voice-driven interface. Simply put, then we have voice commerce. Users can basically make purchases, order items, and manage shopping lists through Alexa. Then also we have cultural impact, and Alexa has become like a cultural phenomenon, influencing how people interact with technology. Right now, what are some of the insights from Alexa? We have a human-centric approach. Uh, Amazon basically focuses on natural conversation and user needs, and that was what drove Alexa's design. Then we have iterative development. There's been regular updates and user feedback contribution that has contributed to the continuous improvement of Alexa. Then, what are the lessons for voice first design? Number one, prioritize user experience. Uh, User centered design basically ensures seamless and engaging interaction. User centered design of Alexa. Then we have embrace multimodality. Alexa's integrations with visual display showcases the potential of multimodal interface. In conclusion, Amazon's Alexa exemplify effective voice first design interface, showcasing the transformative potential of natural language interaction in various aspects of life. Simply put. Now, future trends. What are the future trends of VFI? Now, as voice first interfaces continue to evolve, uh, we anticipate basically exciting advancements that will change the future trajectory. Emerging technologies like emotion recognition hold the potential to add a new layer of personalization by enabling systems to detect and respond to users' emotional state, enhancing engagement and empathy in interactions. Furthermore, the integration of AI is expected to empower VFI with more sophisticated natural language understanding, allowing for more nuanced and context aware conversations. These trends basically signify a path towards more intuitive, empathetic, and intelligent voice first interfaces that can cater to users' needs and emotions in unprecedented ways. Now, we have others, though, like predictive contextualization. Sorry. Now, predictive contextualization is a forward looking approach in designing voice first interfaces, and that holds the potential to revolutionize user experiences by proactively anticipating and fulfilling user needs. Now, by analyzing a combination of user behavior, historical interaction, and real time context, predictive contextualization empowers voice assistants to offer timely and relevant information, actions, or suggestions without you requiring explicit user commands. Right. Then we have multilingual and dialect support. This is where we cater to diverse linguistic backgrounds and accents, like I said earlier. Then we have bioacoustic identification as well. Now, what does this mean? Bioacoustic identification is a cutting edge technology that leverages the unique characteristics of an individual's vocal patterns or acoustic features for the purpose of identification and authentication. Right now we have fingerprints, we have retina scans, that can be used to establish someone's identity. Now imagine uh, bioacoustic identification, where which basically can use the distinctive or qualities of a person's voice to verify who they are. So you're not just using your retina scans only, but also your your voice, so to say. Then we have ethical consideration and privacy. And so, in the dynamic evolution of voice first interfaces, the paramount importance of addressing ethical concerns and safeguarding user privacy cannot be overstated. As these technologies becomes more integrated into our daily lives, it is crucial to ensure that the design, development, and deployment of voice-first interfaces uphold the highest ethical standards and respect users' rights, of course. Um, one second, please. Now, furthermore, we have one second, please. When we're talking about ethical considerations and privacy, some of the things we're talking about we need to look at is responsible data usage, um, preventing bias and discrimination. We're talking about security and unauthorized access, which of course we can circumvent by using authentication and encryption, of course. Then when we're talking about user empowerment, we should be able to give some level of power to the user to probably opt in or opt out of use. Then we're talking about long-term implication in terms of data ownership. Then also regulation and compliances. We're talking about adhering to laws and ethical guidelines of using data information. Now, in conclusion, what are the key takeaways from this uh, conversation? Voice interfaces offers hands-free, natural interactions with technology. Designing for voice first involves conversational design and context awareness. And then multimodal interfaces combine voice with other modalities for richer experiences. We can overcome the different challenges like context ambiguity and prioritizing user privacy. Then we can make it engaging using human-like conversations to enhance the engagement and the satisfactions of the users. Right? Now, embracing the future as technology advances, VFI or voice first interfaces are becoming integral part of of our lives. They're becoming the integral part of our experiences, and by embracing the design principles, we can create intuitive and accessible and delightful interactions for different users. Explore the possibilities of voice first design and be at the forefront of shaping the future of user interface. So, at this point, I would like to say thank you for joining me in this exploration of designing for voice first interfaces. Let's move forward together into the exciting world of interactive voice driven experiences. Um, I don't know if anybody has any questions that you'd like to ask. You can also follow me on any of these platforms. Also, I'd like to add that I'm currently running a mentorship program on ADP List. So you can book a session with me if you need a mentor. Um, if you're a designer, if you're a developer, or product manager, or project manager, if you need a mentor, you can book a session with me on ADP List. Just search for my name, and also you can interact with some of my articles that I've written on Medium. Basically, thank you very much for your attention. Now I would like to take questions. I don't know if anybody has any question. I think you can drop your question in a chat, or you can you can unmute yourself. Whitney, how does this work? Should they unmute and ask the question, or
Can do any. They can unmute or ask our questions. They
okay?
can
So
unmute or just type on the chat.
there you go. You can unmute and ask your question. Or if you would like to type the question, please, you're free to type the question. Okay, thank you very much, guys. At this point, I would like to hand over back to Whitney. So Winnie, sorry, why do I keep calling you Whitney? Sorry, my apology. Winnie, over to you. Thank you.
I actually have a question. Is it possible if you can take us through on how you designed the one voice first interface, your first encounter with it? Yeah, if possible.
Sorry, could you repeat that, Winnie?
I'm asking if have you ever designed for a voice first interface, and if you did, do you mind sharing on how you went through it, like the problem that you are solving?
Right. Personally, I have not designed for a VFI. I've only consulted on a project for a VFI. Unfortunately, because I'm not directly involved, I cannot say much about it because of NDA. Right. Um, I've only um, I've only consulted, like I said, on a project. I'm looking forward to a project where I probably would need to I will need to design for a VFI. But basically, is one aspect of design that I've been quite interested in, that I've been looking at for the past couple of years, and that's why I'm very passionate about it. And apart from apart from that, right now, I'm now looking towards designing for AI and all of that. You know one thing about technology is the landscape keep changing, and you have to keep yourself up to date with the up to date with the technology. So while we're talking about VFI, we're talking about designing for AI and all of that. Try to keep myself up to date with that technology. So, but to answer your question, no, I don't have a personal project that I've designed for, but I've consulted for a company on a project.
Okay, thank you. I see Ellie has a question.
Yes, Ellie, please go ahead. Just in case, I'm not sure if Ellie, we cannot hear you. Just in case, Winnie, maybe we can come back to Ellie. Or Ellie, if you can type your question in the chat.
Um, okay, great. I think as Ellie types the question in the chat, I'll just give a vote of thanks. Thank you, Michael, for the detailed session. I think it's the first time I've had a session on voice first interfaces. Yeah, and the key takeaway that I've taken is design not a user want, not what you think you want. I think you stress on that point a lot while explaining. Yeah. So for everyone else, if
Hello.
you'd like to get
Hello.
hello,
Oh, can you hear me now?
yes,
Oh, so my question was on as a designer, can you be a jack of all trades? As in, you can both do design and development, and also some few skills such as motion graphics.
Uh, yes, you can be jack of all trade. Uh, but you know what they say about jack of all trade, right? You know the ending part of that phrase, jack of all trade, master of nothing.
Mm.
With me. So, um, but I mean, to basically answer your question, yes, you can. There's nothing that you cannot do if you put your mind at it or if you put your mind to it. I've met people who are both designers and also developers. All right, so they design, they develop. Right, so you can, and if you want to add motion design to your skill set, yes, you can. My advice would be that if you want to do that, don't don't jump into all the three at the same time. All right, pace yourself, focus on one at a time. Make sure you're well versed and you're deep in one before you move into another. Are you with me? When I transition into design, um, I focus on design first, and I basically honed my skill in design before I looked at becoming an instructional designer. So right now I have over 6 years of product design, and I have about 2 years of instructional design as a experience. Are you with me? So I'm a clear example of yes, being multifaceted when it comes to skills and discipline. However, I will say don't do it at the same time. Pace yourself, like give yourself time, be well versed in one before you go into another. Are you with me?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome. I would like to ask, and please, everybody